my name is Sarah, and it has been a little while, hasn't it? I decided to take the month of February off from filming and creating content because after I finished my 2016 100 books challenge, I got a little bit burnt out on reading, to be honest, and as a result sort of got burnt out on booktube and creating content and all of that jazz. So I wanted to take a step back and just take a break, give myself a little bit of a rest, but also reevaluate my channel and the kind of content I was creating and the amount of content I was creating and different things like that. I've decided on a few different changes that I'm going to be making to the channel as far as the amount of content I create and stuff like that, but I'm actually asking for your help as well. In the description below, I will be linking a Syrian Reads survey where I'm just asking for your feedback on the kinds of videos that I create, how much you watch, the things that you like and enjoy the most, and I would just love to hear your honest feedback so that I can get a better idea of what you guys are enjoying that I'm creating and hopefully then create more of that kind of content and those kinds of videos as we progress forward. Today, to ease myself back into creating, I am sharing with you guys a book haul. It has been a really long time since I have done a book haul. The summer was the last time I did a book haul. So this is my fall and winter-ish book-ish haul because I have 31 books to share with you and also a couple of other bookish items that we're going to share as well. Since there is so much to get through, we're just gonna jump right on in. Up first, we have the entire Fairyland series by Catherynne M. Valente, which includes The Girl Who Circumnavigated Fairyland in a Ship of Her Own Making, The Girl Who Fell Beneath Fairyland and Led the Revels There, The Girl Who Soared Over Fairyland and Cut the Moon in Two, The Boy Who Lost Fairyland, and The Girl Who Raced Fairyland All the Way Home. I have already read this entire series. It was my favorite series of 2016, and I talked about it a bit more in my December wrap-up and in my favorite books of 2016 video. I also will have a review of the whole series coming in the near future if you want to hear more thoughts, but this series is fantastic, guys, and you should totally read it. Up next, we have The Cellist of Sarajevo by Stephen Galloway. This was one of my favorite reads of 2016, and I originally got it from the library and was super excited to find a copy of this particular edition because it is out of print, but I found it at the Strand in New York City, and I was so happy. It's, yeah, very excited. Up next, we have the illustrated edition of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets by J.K. Rowling with illustrations by Jim Kay. Guys, if you are a Harry Potter fan and you have not checked out these illustrated editions yet, you absolutely need to. Even if you don't want to buy them, even if you don't want to own them for yourselves, they are just so gorgeous. And I mean, like, if you go through and you flip through, just the illustrations are absolutely exquisite. Jim Kay did a fantastic job, and I am really excited to continue collecting the series. The cover for the Prisoner of Azkaban book actually was released last week, and oh my gosh, it's gorgeous. I love it. Go look at it. So pretty. So pretty. Yeah, they're wonderful. Up next, we have Gemina by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, the second book in the Illuminate Files. So you might remember that I got an ARC of this book at BookCon last year, but obviously once the final book came out, I needed to get my own copy because it's hardcover, and also the illustrations and final pieces of the, artwork and stuff were not in the ARC, and obviously that is a huge part of these books. But the most exciting part about it is that Amy and Jay signed my copy when I was in Charleston for YALLFest back in November, which means I now have both my copies of Illuminate and Gemina signed, which is wonderful. So obviously I'm gonna have to get the third book, which is still unnamed, signed whenever it comes out later this year. Up next, we have Dune by Frank Herbert. I really don't know a whole lot about this one. It was given to me by a friend of mine back in December when we did a Secret Santa exchange with a bunch of my friends in my Bible study, and this edition of it is gorgeous. It's one of the special editions from Barnes & Noble. It's got gold pages and all sorts of stuff. It's just really pretty and wonderful. I know this is sort of a quintessential sci-fi book, but I really don't know much else about it. But I'm excited to jump in because sci-fi is one of those genres that I have only really dabbled in for the most part, and I'm just sort of actually starting to get into. So it will be very interesting and intriguing to read sort of one of the more quintessential, I think, pieces from the genre. Up next, we have M through Z in the Penguin drop caps. Yes, guys, I finally have all 26 books. M is Moby Dick or the Whale by Herman Melville. N is Five Children in It by E. Nesbit. O is Butterfield 8 by John O'Hara. And P is Swan's Way by Marcel Proust, which I cannot look at without thinking of Gilmore Girls. Q is The Greek Coffin Mystery by Ellery Queen. And R is Heroine and the Sea of Stories by Salman Rushdie. S is Cannery Row by John Steinbeck, and T is The Joy Luck Club by Amy Tan. U is Kristen Levin's Strata Volume 1, The Wreath by Sigrid Undset, and V is Candide by Voltaire. W is Leaves of Grass and Selected Poems and Prose by Walt Whitman, and X is Sky Burial by Zinran. Y is When You Are Old, Early Poems and Fairy Tales by W.B. Yeats, and to finish off the collection, Z is The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. I am super excited to have all of those books, and if you go to my Instagram account, I took a picture of the whole set on the shelf, and guys, they just look so pretty. So that finishes out the drop caps. Up next we have Chasing Slow by Erin Lochner, which is an amazing memoir. It's the first book I read this year, and yeah, it was so good. It's gonna be on my favorite books of the year list, and it was wonderful. Up next is Bird by Bird by Anne Lamott, which is a book about writing, and the subtitle is Some Instructions on Writing and Life. I've heard wonderful things about it, and I'm really excited to finally pick this one up. The next two books are the final two books in the Crossfix Journal series, which is a collection of 4 memoirs that Madeline L'Engle wrote and I started reading in 2015. Those books are The Irrational Season and Two-Part Invention. I'm in the middle of The Irrational Season right now, and it is absolutely wonderful. I love Madeline L'Engle's writing. If you are a fan of her writing in general, these books are a really fascinating look into a different side of her that you don't necessarily see in her fiction, so I would highly recommend checking them out. Up next we have a couple of books that my friend Alex gave me. The first is Blue Like Jazz by Donald Miller, and the second is A Wrinkle in Time by Madeline L'Engle. As you guys know, this is my favorite book of all time, and I told Alex that he needed to read it, and he picked it up, and I told him that it was taking a lot of self-control to not buy this copy once I saw the cover that he got, because it is the 50th anniversary edition. It is beautiful and wonderful, and I just love it, and he told me that he would give it to me so that he could then buy the full quintet, and I was like, you don't need to do that. I already have 2 copies. I really don't need it. But despite the fact that he claims I have a book buying problem, he's clearly an enabler because he gave it to me anyway. But it is really pretty, so, you know, it's kind of okay. Speaking of enablers, up next is Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert, which Emily Hernberg told me I should read during a conversation we had about creativity and stuff a couple of weeks ago. Even though I told her I don't need to buy books, she was like, do it! And yeah, totally an enabler. I love her, but totally an enabler. And the final book for today is Chasers of the Light, Poems from the Typewriter series by Tyler Knott Gregson. Those are all of the books, and now I have a few bookish items to share with you. The first one being this wonderful mug that my little sister got me for Christmas. As you can see, it says, "I solemnly swear that I am up to no good." The quote, you know, from the Marauders map in Harry Potter. But the really cool thing about it, guys, is it does this. Give it a second. Do you see? Do you see that? It is starting to change. And it says Mischief Managed, and it has all of the footprints that you would see on the Marauders map. And it's just, yeah, it's wonderful, and it's such like a nerdy Harry Potter thing, but I totally love it. I do not actually know where she got it from, so I'll have to check on that, and I will link it in the description below if you guys want one of these for yourself, which, yeah, it's pretty great. Pretty darn great. The next bookish item is this lovely scarf that you see here, which was given to me by my parents for my birthday, and it is from the Etsy shop Story Arts, and the words that you see printed on the scarf is a section from the book Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. If you have not seen the Story Arts Etsy shop, it is a fantastic shop that has scarves and writing gloves and all sorts of other fun like things like this, where they literally just take sections of books and put them on different pieces of fabric and stuff. And I've had my eye on this particular scarf and that Etsy shop for a long time, but I never totally pulled the trigger, and part of that was because I knew this was a t-shirt material, and I've had t-shirt material scarves before which don't always drape very well, but as you can see, this one drapes very nicely. It's a really heavy material. It's a really, yeah, it's just a really great scarf. So if you've had your eye on a Story Arts scarf for a while but have not, you know, totally been ready to pull the trigger yet, I give it a thumbs up. Definitely recommend it. And the final 2 items I have to share with you guys for this haul are my favorite by far, with the exception maybe of the drop caps, just because they are so pretty when you put them all up on a shelf. And those are a couple of tattoos that I got for my 28th birthday back in January. The first one is right here on my wrist. You can see it is an ampersand. It's not necessarily specifically bookish, but it's punctuation mark, you know, so very much a literary thing. The ampersand is my favorite punctuation mark. I absolutely love it. And if you want to know more about the story behind that, you can ask me in the comments. And the other one is on my forearm here. I don't know how well you can see, but it says, "Courage, dear heart," which is a quote from The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, the third book in the Chronicles of Narnia series. It is one of my all-time favorite quotes, one of my favorite books in that series, and yeah, I'm super, super excited to have it on my arm. I love I absolutely loved the script work that was done with it, and yeah, I love it. It's amazing, wonderful. This brings my tattoo count up to 3, and I do not currently have plans to get any more, but it's kind of true what they say, that they're a little bit addicting, so I can't promise anything. But yeah. Well, there you have it, friends. That is my fall and winter-ish bookish haul, back to booktube, all of those wonderful things. Once again, if you could please fill out the Sarah Ann Reads survey that I have linked in the description below, I would so appreciate your feedback. If you have thoughts on any of the things that I hauled today, the books, the tattoos, the scarf, the mug, whatever, I would love to hear your thoughts, so please let me know in the comments below. If you want to follow me elsewhere online, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Goodreads, all at Sarah Ann Hayes. The links for those profiles will be in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye! Bye, Amy Kaufman. Ooh. We have Swan's Way by Marcel, or not MP. And for SFP, LMNOP. For P, we have Swan's Way. And P is by John O'Hara, and P is